But it got me thinking about Hurricane Agnes and that flooding. It was a big deal in Harrisburg on the Susquehanna River and all the points down here, but walking from the boat launch to here, it's 2.4 miles. So as big and wide as the Susquehanna is, to flood that high and then reach up here 2.4 miles, and that bridge has got to be 20-25 feet above the water right now. So to do damage to that bridge, and Hurricane Agnes was really a disaster around here. Man, sometimes you go into the woods and you don't realize how much you're going to think about a hurricane and flood from 50 years ago. But yeah, I'm thinking next year would be 50 years from Agnes. So I don't know, maybe I do a couple hikes and string together and look for high water marks. Good afternoon, this is Hiker Dude Dad. Those clips there were the genesis of this idea. 13 months ago, I was taking a hike and I was blown away by the concept that this high bridge miles from the river could be affected by floodwaters. Since then, I've been on the lookout for Agnes markers as I've continued to explore the Susquehanna River Valley. Growing up just outside of Harrisburg, I'd known about Agnes from an early age. I was late to the party by about 1.5 years, but she still instilled fear in people. Agnes was a tropical cyclone born off the Yucatan Peninsula. It made its way up through the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico, made landfall at Panama City, Florida. Kind of weakened through it was barely a hurricane and kind of weakened through the southern states. Off the coast of North Carolina, though, it intensified. It sucked up all that moisture from the Atlantic, worked its way north, and made landfall again in New York City, Long Island area. June 23rd and 24th of 1972, Agnes just parked herself right over Pennsylvania. Much of the central part of the state received 7 to 10 inches of rain. 19 inches was the high that was reported in western Schuylkill County. In Wilkes-Barre, the Susquehanna crested at 40.9 feet and grew to 1 mile wide. In Harrisburg, it crested at 32.8 feet, which is 15 feet above flood stage. Marietta, near us here down in Lancaster County, was absolutely ridiculous. 64.5 feet of water rose. Flood stage in Marietta is 49 feet. By time I go live with this video, the river in Marietta will be about 17 feet. Agnes caused 50 deaths and $2 billion 1972 dollars worth of damage in Pennsylvania alone. Almost 1 million gallons of water per second flowed through Harrisburg. 222,000 Pennsylvanians were evacuated from their homes. Okay, so I'm not a great script writer or narrator. I'm going to roll the clips here and just let them speak for themselves. This is what I've amassed over the last 13 months. All right, so the Colemanville Bridge was built in 1867. It is a wooden covered bridge. This bridge was very much damaged in 1972. We've got to be 30 feet above the water right now, and the water damaged the bottom of the bridge. We're 2.5 miles, I think, from the Susquehanna River that way, and the surge up the river, up the Susquehanna River, pushed the Pequea Creek back to where this bridge, 30 feet above the water, was damaged. Milton State Park is an 82-acre island in the middle of the west branch of the Susquehanna River. During the summer of 1972, when Hurricane Agnes came through, this entire island was underwater. Hard to believe when you see how high the interior of the island is with the bridge and everything. Just more of the devastation put upon Pennsylvania by Hurricane Agnes. Okay, so we're on Safe Harbor Dam in Lancaster County, near the Conestoga River, and I found some high water level markers. June 24th, though, is our Agnes marker. June 24th, 1972, 195.5, and I will look up what that measurement could possibly be. So we're at Negley Park in Lemoyne, Pennsylvania, right across the river from Harrisburg. On June 24th, Agnes dumped 16 inches of rain on the area. Right now the river at Harrisburg is 6 feet deep. If you look at City Island here in the mid-ground, that is a 6 foot deep river. 16 feet deep is flood stage. During Agnes, the river swelled to almost 33 feet deep. That would have covered City Island and most of the town on the other side. So right now I'm in Lancaster County, along the banks of the Cocalico Creek. I'm starting a swing here with 3 covered bridges here in the area, along the Cocalico Creek and the Conestoga River. Right here is the Zook's Mill covered bridge. It was built in 1849 by Henry Zook. It is 10 feet above the Cocalico Creek right here, and you can see inside there the high water mark from Agnes filled the bridge 6 feet high. So here we go. I'm 6'1", so it's just about up to my head. This is how high the water was. If you just step right outside here, you can see how far it is down to the water. The thing that I did not expect coming here is that we are 19 miles from the Susquehanna River. So that's very far inland. The Cocalico Creek here flows into the Conestoga River, which then empties into the Susquehanna at Safe Harbor. So we are 2 waterways away from the Susquehanna, and still had 6 foot high water where I'm standing right now. Okay, just down the road here, just a few miles away from Zook's Mill, we are at Pinetown Bushong Mill covered bridge. Pinetown Bridge here is not the one that was standing in 1972. That bridge was destroyed. The original was built in 1867. Right now, the rebuilt bridge stands 17 feet 6 inches above the water. After it was destroyed by Agnes in 72, they immediately rebuilt it. The Amish in the area got together and they probably had it up in a day or two. And but they raised it. They built stone foundations here and raised it higher than it was. It's 17 feet 6 inches above the water right now, but in spite of that, it sustained heavy damage in 2011 from Hurricane Lee when it came through and pretty much had to be rebuilt again. Okay, so Hunsecker's Mill Bridge here is the county's longest single span covered bridge. It's spanning the Conestoga River here, about 2 miles downstream from the Pinetown Bridge. It's about 10 feet longer than the second longest bridge in the county, the Colemanville Bridge. So this bridge was built in 1843 by John Russell for $2,000, a little less than $2,000. It was swept away and destroyed by Agnes in '72. It was rebuilt the following year for a cost of $321,000. So in not even 150 years, $2,000 to $300,000, $321,000. So we were up at Zook's Mill bridge. That bridge was not destroyed. That was filled about 6 feet deep with water, and then the two bridges, as you go closer to the Susquehanna, those bridges have been swept away and rebuilt, sometimes several times. So now I'm in Columbia, just got some coffee across the street at Coffee and Cream. Standing under the massive Veterans Bridge here. This bridge was around for Agnes. Out on the far edge there in the sun, you can see the high water mark. I'll zoom in for a second there, but it is, I would be completely underwater right now if I was here during Agnes. We'll zoom in on that. And then north, you can see the Wrights Ferry Bridge. True story, Wrights Ferry Bridge was not here in 1972. It was not built until 1973. Okay, so it is a little faded out there, but we are going to zoom in 10 times, and as we come up here, 234, that's going to be the elevation above sea level. Safe Harbor Dam, I realized that they do their markers on the dam by elevation, and they were down in the 100s, and that is downstream from here. There you can see it says Agnes. All right, trying to find it as I zoomed in was tough. So as we zoom back out, that is more than halfway, about maybe a third of the way up to the bridge deck. Just a couple quick stats here on the Wrightsville-Columbia Bridge, or as it was designated in the 80s, the Veterans Memorial Bridge. It was built in 1930. It's constructed of reinforced concrete. It is still considered the world's longest concrete multiple arch bridge. It's the 5th bridge that spanned the river here at this location. But this thing is a beast. This is reinforced concrete, 100,000 cubic yards of it, 8 million pounds of steel. There are 27 river piers, 22 approach piers, a 38-foot wide 2-lane roadway. I can't find any record of any damage to this beast with Agnes. You know, the water did only come up right here to the bottoms of those arches, it appears. Maybe overlapping the arches just a little bit. But if you're standing here at Columbia Crossings, right here is your height marker. And yeah, it basically just touched the bottom of the arches. There's still plenty of room, I guess, for water and debris and everything to float on by. Shout out to Topo Ranger on YouTube for the clue about the high water marker on the Veterans Memorial Bridge. We are crossing that bridge now. All right, so I was over by the Accomack here in York County and walked north on the Mason-Dixon Trail, which is River Road. I thought there was a high water marker here for Agnes, but this one is from 1996. That is probably about 8 feet up that pole right now, and you can see how far down the river is when it's normal. I'm gonna keep walking here. Maybe I missed it. I thought there was an Agnes one along here though. All right, so we're still here on the York side of the river. looking at the Susquehanna. We're in the parking lot of the Accomack Inn. It's been under several owners over the course of its history. It's been closed for as long as I've been coming over here, but I did not find our high water marker that I was looking for, but I did find an article that said the basement here. So we've got the deck, kind of an enclosed porch there, and I guess that basement area was underwater, so it would have been above my head standing here next to the river here. So that's got to be a good 20 feet down to the river right now, plus about 5 to 10 feet. Yeah, so didn't find my marker, but knowing that it flooded the basement over here, gonna try and take you on a straight line with my finger. Yeah, devastating flooding. Just across the railroad tracks behind me and down a little bit is Susquehanna River. We're in Marietta here at Shank's Tavern. Established in 1814, it is Lancaster County's oldest tavern. Unfortunately, it is closed. Does not open till 3 p.m. It's midday. I could definitely use a beer at the oldest tavern in Lancaster County, but as I walk along the side of the building here, this is what I'm looking for. So here's a high water mark, September 9th, 2011. Oops, carpenter bees buzzing at me. The St. Patrick's Day flood of 1936. We talked about that when I was at the Safe Harbor Dam. Man, I'm 6'1". This has got to be 8 to 9 feet. Yeah, it's about 9 feet up the side of the building here. June 23rd, 1972. That's Agnes. So, yeah, just for reference here, I'm 6'1". I can reach, standing like this, I can normally reach to the top of a volleyball net, which is 8 feet. I can put my fingers right on top. So, probably about 8.5 feet above my head here at Shank's Tavern. So if you look across the street, it actually rises up to the tracks and then goes down across the Northwest River Trail and down to the river. So Marietta here crested at 65.5 feet, I think, and flood stage was 49 feet. This was one of the highest points here in central Pennsylvania during Agnes. So we're in Wilkes, Pennsylvania, one of the hardest hit places from Hurricane Agnes. This is our high water mark here. This is at the corner of River Street and Academy Drive. We're right outside the Calvary Bible Church. And look how high that is. That is probably 12 feet above the road right here. If we turn and look west on Academy, about 3 or 4 blocks that way is the Susquehanna River. So looking straight across here, all of this, right now we would have been underwater. We would have been underwater right now. That is at least 12 feet high over there. The storm damaged 64,000 houses in Pennsylvania. 13,000 of those homes were here in Wilkes-Barre. So make no mistake here, this riverfront park in Wilkes-Barre has been built up with earth levees and walls to keep the Susquehanna River out. This is the iconic Market Street Bridge in Wilkes-Barre. You can see under here 13-foot 3-inch clearance above the path. More so above the river.
Get my feet. Okay, we're gonna swing this.
But here it is in 2022, and here it is in 1972. Okay, so we're here at St. Mary's Byzantine Catholic Church in Kingston, PA, right across the river from Wilkes-Barre. Right on the corner here is their Agnes high water mark. Again, June 24th, 1972. Doesn't seem terribly high here. I'm up on a ramp and I'm kind of at eye level with it, so it's probably about 8 or 9 feet high. But we are 1.25 miles from the Susquehanna River up a hill, so that is very impressive. This marker, this high water mark, was reached on June 24th and then receded. On June 23rd, the river level was 38.5 feet. So after everything was said and done, Agnes pummeled Wilkes-Barre and the Wyoming Valley here with 14 trillion gallons of water. Here in Kingston, only 30 of the 6,600 homes in town were unscathed by Agnes. This was absolutely devastating. This was the worst area that was affected here around Wilkes-Barre and Kingston, and then in Harrisburg and down the river. In 1972, Tropical Storm Agnes devastated the Wyoming Valley to the east of here. Kind of southeast is where Wilkes-Barre and Kingston are. Francis Slocum State Park was closed during that, but stayed dry enough that 280 families were moved into temporary housing here in the park until their homes were restored. There were 13,000 damaged homes in Wilkes-Barre and another 6,600, I think, in Kingston. So after the last family moved out, the park reopened to the public then in June of 1974. All right, so here we are in Harrisburg, southern part of the city here. This is probably our last stop here on the Agnes tour, but this railroad bridge here, straight ahead, that is the South Bridge, so that's I-83. But right here we've got this railroad bridge. We're in the Shipoke neighborhood of Harrisburg, which was completely underwater with Agnes. Shipoke absolutely devastated, but got this arch railroad bridge here. The river today, I think we're down around 3 feet deep here at Harrisburg, because then when you come up here out of the water, 14, 16, 18, 22, there we go, up above 30 is our Agnes marker. So we're up around 33 feet there. These markers were just repainted a few weeks ago, I believe, to commemorate the 50th anniversary. Yeah, can you imagine water that high? So a couple other markers up there. Right around 26 feet are Ivan in 2004. The 1996 ice jam flooding that wiped out the Walnut Street Bridge north of here. And Lee in 2011. Crazy. I grew up not too far from here. Crazy to think about what happened here. I am so glad I sought out these markers. Agnes was the stuff of legends when I was a kid. But now knowing that my adult body would have been just absolutely dwarfed by her waters is just humbling. I'm glad I was able to take you from the birth of this video 13 months ago to standing here thanking you for watching on June 14th, 2022, the 50th birthday of the small tropical depression that would go on to cause so much devastation. Most importantly, I hope you enjoyed this video and learned from it. Please subscribe, ring the bell, and share this video with a friend. Thank you for watching. Cheers, and I'll see you out there.